Hey guys. If you've heard of this game called ATLYSS before and you want to give it a try, but you feel overwhelmed with all the mechanics or you're worried about making irreversible choices, you've come to the right place. While this game may seem daunting at first, I know I felt the same way, it's really not so bad once you get the basics covered. This is a mostly spoiler-free guide that will teach you everything you need to know as a beginner in ATLYSS. First off, let's head to single player and create a character together. There are 5 different options for races to choose from: imps, poons, kobolds, birdles, and shangs. Whatever race you choose and want to play as really comes down to personal preference. The race you choose is permanent, so be wary of that. Each race comes with their own initial skill they start out with, but don't worry too much about this as each one can be acquired later on. Skills are temporary buffs or attacks that recharge after use. There's a plethora of options to choose from when it comes to creating your character. Spend some time to mess around and see what you can really come up with. I personally went with a tired-looking poon named after my likeness. Once you're done adjusting the looks of your character, head on down to the Traits tab. Here's where you can invest the attribute points you'll start out with. You're able to invest into 4 different attributes that will affect different aspects of your character's usefulness during gameplay. To explain simply, Strength makes you hit harder with physical weapons, Mind makes you hit harder with magic, Dexterity makes your crit chance higher, and Vitality raises your maximum health. Whatever you choose here is not permanent, and you're able to respend these points later on. I personally recommend only investing in 2 columns at any given time, one of them being Vitality. This is so you're not spread too thin across multiple different attributes, basically just hampering yourself. By investing 1 point into an attribute, it will raise the respective value by 1, unless it's Vitality, which is raised by 4. You're also given the choice to pick out a weapon to start out with. Each weapon will scale off of a specific attribute type, which is very important for maximizing damage output. Pairing a weapon that scales off of something you've invested a lot into will deal a lot more damage. As with attributes, whatever you pick here isn't permanent and it's very easy to find new weapons during gameplay. I personally went with maximizing Vitality to boost my max health from 19 to 43, as health is very important, especially in the early game. I also went with the hammer as it deals the most amount of damage. I just want to emphasize, don't worry about picking the wrong options, as there really isn't any wrong choice here. You have a ton of room for experimentation. Congratulations, you did it. Let's take a moment to cover the basic controls. I'm sure you know the drill by now. Left click to attack, right click to block, middle mouse to lock onto enemies if there's any in range. You can hold shift to lock your character's rotation, very good during combat and parkour. E is to dash, and F is to interact with things. You can press T near certain surfaces to view extra lore tidbits. Let's move on to the menus next. You can access your inventory quickly by pressing I. These 3 buttons on the left let you access different portions of your inventory. Items is where armor and weapons will go. Consumables is for things like healing or other items that can be used up. And trade items are the loot enemies drop that can be used for quests or sold for crowns. Crowns are ATLYSS's currency, and you'll be using them throughout basically all of the game. Over here is your character, and these slots where you can put in armor and weapons. You can even toggle the visibility of your armor if running nude suits your fancy. On the top here are 3 buttons that display 3 different tabs: your inventory, the vanity tab to change your character's appearance regardless of current equipped armor, and the stats tab that displays everything pertaining to how your attributes and equipment affect your character. It's a good idea to take a few moments to get acquainted with the controls, and once you're ready, head on over to the big library tower. Once inside, talk to Angela and start the first quest of exploring the Sanctum. There are 6 important NPCs scattered about the map, each one offering different quests and gameplay options. Let's start with the first one you previously talked to, Angela. She often has quests pertaining to new areas and dungeons. She's the Sanctum's Mystic NPC, one of the 3 main classes that will be discussed later. Then we have Sally. Sally is the Sanctum's Bandit NPC, but she's not very obvious about it. You can sell your loot, buy armor and equipment, and consumable items from her. This is also where you can buy special tomes to let you reinvest your attribute and skill points. The items she sells will get better as you level up. Her quests involve gathering a certain amount of loot to craft quest-specific gear. Located within Sally's shop is Spike, your universal storage chest. There's plenty of room for all the loot you'll accrue, and the items you put in there can actually be accessed by all of the other characters you make. Right behind Sally's is a shady fellow named Scrit. If you love gambling, then he's your guy. I just want to say though, it is not worth it whatever to gamble with this guy, as his loot pool is nowhere near worth it for what you're putting in. The best you'll get are some exclusive cosmetics. A few paces over from Sally's is Vivian. For a price, she can give your weapons and armor a random enchantment which will adjust certain stats based on what you get. I'll explain what enchantments are in more detail later. You can also make your weapons scale off of a different attribute for a wider variety of effective builds you can make. Last is Enok, the buff furry guy located in the large room tucked away in the back of the Sanctum. It's pretty clear he's the Sanctum's fighter NPC. He mostly has quests pertaining to killing a certain amount of enemies. After you've explored the place to your liking, and you've turned in the quest to Angela, you finally have access to the outer Sanctum gate. Before you head out though, it's a good idea to talk to the 3 main NPCs, and accept all their quests to make sure you're not missing out on potential XP. Depending on the time of day, either slimes or lesser wisps will spawn out here. As you kill them, you'll acquire things such as weapons, armor, or trade items. You can equip some of this loot or sell them to Sally for crowns, although be wary about selling trade items as you may need them for quests later in the future. Eventually you'll level up. When that happens, you'll gain 3 points to invest in skills, and 3 points to invest in attributes. To re-emphasize, don't worry about investing in the wrong thing, since Sally's Tomes of Unlearning will let you reinvest all of those points you spent with no loss. I personally did a strategy of alternating between investing in strength and vitality every time I leveled up. After enough time exploring deeper into the outer areas, killing monsters and turning in quests, you'll encounter the catacombs. Attune the waypoint in there, and you'll be able to teleport to it from within the Sanctum's world portal. The catacombs is the first dungeon you'll be able to traverse. Make sure you have all of the related quests activated before entering to maximize your returns. Dungeoning is simple. Enemies will spawn in rooms with purple particles, and waves of them will need to be cleared out. Sometimes you need to pull a lever or use a key to unlock other sections. Make sure to break pots, as they sometimes have good loot. Don't worry about death too much, as you'll simply respawn at the start point of the dungeon. You won't lose anything for dying. The biggest punishment is just that enemies will quickly regenerate health over time in the room you died in. Also in the dungeons are secret rooms with extra loot that are a little bit harder to get to. You'll get your ass handed to you, quite frequently if you're new, but over time you'll understand the mechanics and it will happen less and less. On your travels, you may have picked up items with specific enchantments. I mentioned it briefly earlier, but enchantments will boost certain values of the item by multiplying said value by a fixed number. An item with an enchantment will also have its rarity be increased by a tier. The current list of enchantments are as follows. These are subject to change or be added upon as the game gets updated, so take it with a grain of salt. If you don't like the enchantment you got, there's always Vivian to help you out. However, it is a random chance of whatever you'll get, so be prepared to gamble. Also, sometimes enemies will spawn in enchanted, which will adjust their stats accordingly. Any other tips? Right, there are 3 secret chests scattered about the Sanctum, which contain a small loot pool of good items. You can hit these over and over as they respawn, and quickly get a quick buck. Sometimes the loot is locked behind a minimum level, or even class-specific, which will lock you out of using them. However, if you find a cool piece of class-specific armor you want to wear, and you meet the level requirement, you can always use an illusion stone to put it on your vanity layer. Now all you need to do is grind dungeons and explore, and eventually you'll reach the level 10 milestone. Now that you're level 10, you have the ability to choose a specific class you want to specialize as. This will give you access to exclusive skills and armor, which will make your life much easier. Be wary though. This change is permanent. You're totally able to postpone this decision, but I don't recommend doing it for too long. The game's difficulty curve will catch up to you. Not sure what to choose? Here's a quick rundown of what each class can do. Fighters are great for heavy hitting damage with good potential for movement. It's a very easy class to pick up, as all of the exclusive skills specialize in dealing more damage in fun ways. Mystics are the perfect choice for the team player. They have several options for dealing area of effect damage to enemies, and offers good choices for buffing or healing teammates. You aren't weak either. Skills like Flux Bolt deal incredible amounts of burst damage if you have enough attribute points spent in mind. Bandits are a strange mix of fighters' damage output and the Mystic's AoE capabilities. They have a wide range of exclusive skills that can facilitate many different playstyles and have great options for mobility. These are just general rules and aren't set in stone. The range at which you're able to mix and match classes and playstyles is pretty huge. You can go for a stun and bleed build on the fighter, play as a medic mystic, min-max a crit build for the bandit, do whatever you feel like. At this level milestone, you'll also unlock the ability to acquire weapon mastery tomes. These will take up a skill slot and widen the potential you have with a specific weapon type. The period between level 10 and 20 are the hardest to slog through, as the difficulty curve quickly ramps up. If you feel stuck, don't give up yet. Either go back to earlier dungeons and grind for a bit, or phone a friend. This game has multiplayer. As long as you join a good server and ask nicely, you'll quickly find buddies to help dungeon with. Do note that difficulty scales with the amount of players within your party. Another thing to note is that all loot is client-side, but the chests opening are server-side, so don't stray too far from the group. After a few hours of dungeoning, either alone or with friends, you'll eventually reach the level 20 milestone. What's next from here? Well, to be honest, I'm not sure. That's up to you. With game updates on the horizon that promise to raise the level cap and shake things up with new skills and enchantments, it's impossible to say what the end game is. You can get all the best gear and maximize all of your invested points, but the game really ends when you say it does. There's always different avenues to explore: modding, PvP, roleplay, movement tech, glitches, so many other ways to spend your time on ATLYSS. Don't forget to back up your save files locally, just in case. For some people it may sound pretty daunting, but it's actually very simple. Just click on the ATLYSS game, click the settings wheel, go to browse local files, enter the ATLYSS data folder, copy the profile collections folder, and find a safe place to paste it. You now have a fallback just in case the profiles you have decide to completely nuke themselves. In the event that happens, simply find the affected files, copy their counterparts from the backup, and paste them into your ATLYSS folder and start the game. And yeah, that's about it for now. I have a lot of ideas for future videos, so if you're interested in seeing any more of those, please subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you around in the next one.